And we are live. Guys, I'd like to welcome you to a very special edition. I don't think I've done a Saturday podcast in years, but man, I got some things in store for you today. Anyways, today I've fished with this guy, and he could find fish on Lake Buff with his eyes closed. He knows the lake that well, and it was really this is the reason I'm a podcaster, man. I just love to fish with people who really know how to fish, and that's where it's at for me. But anyways, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Rockweiler. How are you doing tonight, Steve?
I'm getting old, but I'm telling you what, I'm having fun.
You're having fun. Well, that's what it's all about, man. I hope I get to fish as much as you do when I'm your age. I hope I make it that long.
Well, when I retired 13 years ago, I envisioned fishing 2 or 3 days a week, but that hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened. You told me you try to get out at least once.
Yeah. My wife's been sick with a problem, and I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters who are all from 66 to 88, and they're all pretty much, have health problems, I think. So family's first, so you take care of them.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Family always comes first. Man, I tell guys that when they get all excited about their pro fishing career, man, I'm going to tell you what it takes. You need the undying support of your family.
Yep. Yeah.
And you need a job that's going to put up with you being gone. That's why I stayed with the federal government.
Right.
Because I take every hour they give me off. I just love that.
And I have a daughter and 2 sons, Adam and Eric and Natalie, my daughter. And with the 2 boys, ever since I was little, when I got off from the plant I worked at, it wasn't often because I worked 6-7 days a week. And so I'd combine, go fishing. Come on, we're going to go fishing. As a way to get them out of the house and do something with them. So ever since they were little, they fished with me. And they fished tournaments with me and everything. And sometimes you get all gunned up, and everything. And I tell them, I say, look, we're going to have fun.
Yes.
If we're in something, that's fine. If we don't, we're still going to have fun, So that's the number one goal of fishing, Too many people get too wrapped up in all of the different things in fishing, But really, fishing should be about fun.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's why I don't guide anymore. I don't tournament fish. I just go out there to have fun. Right. One thing I've learned as I got a little older, it's about the people you're with. So,
and that's what's a great sport, because you meet various people and you get to fish with various people, and especially from different areas of the country. You say, well,
yes.
Oh, why is he, using that or fishing it like that, and you learn a little bit, So
absolutely,
you don't ever stop learning. If you stop learning, you're dead,
Yeah, absolutely. So Responsible Anglers United, we have an event coming up.
Yeah, we have our annual fundraiser. We had our first one last year in February. This year we have it at January 31st, and so we formed Responsible Anglers United because Hurricane Ida hit here 4 years ago and pretty much decimated our area. I haven't heard or seen any figures on this yet, but I think we lost 80% of our fish in this area. And it was pretty devastating, and we're still coming back from it. So in having little fishing tournaments and stuff, a group of us started talking, and we formed this Responsible Anglers United. Steve Dufresne from Raceland heads it up. And it's really came from just a grassroots little small deal to getting larger and larger. So, and we raised close to $100,000 last year. We was able to purchase over 32,000 largemouth bass, Florida largemouth bass, fast growing bass. And this October, we was able to put them in the Lake Buff region. So, Responsible Anglers United is really taking off.
Yes, I'm very excited about this. And guys, we're having an event right up here in the middle of the screen is information about that event. If you'd like to purchase tickets, go to responsibleanglersunited.com, which is down at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, and you can visit our Facebook page, Responsible Anglers United. And, you could purchase tickets. It's $50 a ticket for adults, Uh, we have a raffle with Tyler Rivette, pro fisherman, elite fisherman, who's graciously donated his time on. You'll be an all expense paid trip, the room and everything covered. He'll take you out fishing multiple days on Lake Champlain and catch smallmouth, catch largemouth bass. It'll be a trip of a lifetime for most people. So he has graciously donated his time again. He did that last year on Lake St. Clair, and the people that went had a ball.
I bet they did.
So, yeah, we're going to have at the January 31st at the Gaines Community Center in Gaines, Louisiana, we're going to have a band, all the great food you want to eat. We'll have all the drinks that you could drink, sodas, whatever you drink, water, anything. And we'll have raffles. We'll have auctions. There's a lot of great stuff that you could get in on a raffle or auction on that is donated. I think this year we even have a pier on, and but it's just all kinds of fishing related stuff that you can take a chance on or auction.
That's going to be great. Last year it was a great time.
It was. I had so many people from the surrounding parishes that said, "Man, we needed something like this, a community-based thing to get people together." And a lot of these people didn't even fish. That's what amazed me. And they said,
"Really?
We can't wait till next year, because we used to have these functions in these communities years ago. We don't have anything." So a lot of these older people really were thrilled with it.
Oh yeah, guys, when Steve said that had to have a full spread of food, they have, I don't know how to say this word, but boucherie. Did I say that right?
Yeah, boucherie.
Okay, boucherie pig that tasted awesome, and they had everything else you could possibly, all the fixings for that. And I mean, as far as desserts, they had a dessert table with anything you can imagine. And there was Miller Lite for purchase. I remember you and I drank a beer together.
Yep, it was. And all that food is cooked by people right here. My wife cooked the dessert, and they were great. All the desserts were great. The food was great. So yes, it's a great event. It's for a great cause, and we wound up stocking these fish. They were from. They wasn't the little 2-inch fingerling. We saved up and bought these fish that were 5 to 7 inches, and
yes.
Survivability is a lot greater because there's a lot of things that will not eat that size fish, and we was hoping, to have the habitat to put them in, and Lake Buff was devoid of grass this storm. But this past year, the lake has rebounded and the grass has really come back strong there. So, what we would like to do also is we're tied in with a program that the Louisiana Wildlife Fisheries has started, and they have a black bass supervisor or manager, and his name is Zane LeBlanc.
Yeah.
And we're hooked into them for 6 years. They're going to be following these fish. They did a shocking survey before they stocked them in October. They did a little fin clipping on them to discover exactly what the genetics are in them. And then they stocked these 32,000 Florida bass back there. So they're going to follow these fish for 6 years. Now, Zane also told us that they are hoping to be able to use their hatchery across the lake, I think Lacombe, and they're going to start stocking some fish over here.
Wow.
And we could stock Lake Catawatchee. The grass is coming back to Lake Catawatchie again. So,
I was there when they were.
Yeah,
I forgot to go out when they were stocking these fish.
Right.
And one of the places we went to, which was a lily pad field, that must have been 60 acres. Nothing but lily pads.
Nothing but pads.
Nothing but lily pads, and there was grass underneath the pads. Oh man, I took one look at that. I'm like, these fish are going to live. They got places to hide.
And then when they did this shock survey, they shocked up a lot of the amount of bait back there was surprising to them. There was a lot of different kinds of sunfish, brim, shad. So that, like you said, it's all things you need for a grow.
Yes.
Population.
You need a suitable temperature, which we have.
Right.
And you need cover and food. And if you have the cover, And what you were talking about, they got the food too. I'm sure they got all kinds of little shrimp and crustaceans in there, and
Right.
baby crawfish, and about 6 different kinds of minnows. Wow.
But the thing responsible anglers wants to do is, we're going to keep stocking them back there, but we want to kind of branch out and have fishing opportunities like that, in the Catawatch area, the Zalman's area, maybe the Lockport area. So, and just be able to spread that around where we can have people be able to go wherever they want to in this general area and, have good fishing.
That is so awesome. When I got down here, I started fishing with a few guys, and I started thinking, man, I have fished the BFL. I guided for bass for 17 years, and I can't touch bass down here. I must have lost it. No, there just weren't many of them down here. And you got to be like you. You got to know every nook and cranny to find them.
Well, over the years, I've even had a few. I guess it was about 12 years. I tagged some of the bigger fish, 5 pounders,
Sure.
and
Sure.
I used to buy these tags, which they're no longer available, but I had my name, and telephone number on it, a tag. So I used to get called all the time, and I would ask the guys, where'd you catch it? And I kept a logbook of all the tag numbers that I tagged these fish with and what they weighed. And I asked them to give me a, approximate weight, where, if they kept it or released it. And so I got a little volume of information how these fish migrate around here. It was very valuable. But the thing is, there's so many fish die, especially older fish, that these fish, when they migrate now, what I notice is it's a lot differently than how they were doing it before. And so it's a whole new game now, because I think what was happening was the older fish, I guess it's like that with wildlife, when ducks come down south and go back up north, I think it's the older ducks that lead the flock, and they have a memory of how the ground lays out in the rivers and lakes, and that's how they do it. And I just think we lost a lot of the bigger, older fish, and so the groups of fish now are migrating. I notice a little differently how they move, like a Lake Buff region. Sometimes they leave the lake, they come in the deep canal. Sometimes they leave the deep canals and come into the lake, and it's kind of changed up a little bit.
Okay, that's interesting, man. Speaking of that, I went out there with you, and we spent a day fishing on Lake Buff and in the canals around Lake Buff. It was interesting. Now, when you are Texas rigging, how big of a, we're Texas rigging probably what, a foot to 2 feet of water?
Yeah, about 2 foot of water. Lake Buff is a shallow lake now.
So do you use an 1/8 ounce sinker on that?
If you're punching through the vegetation, the mats and the lilies, that's at least a 1 ounce sinker, if not 1 1/4,
Okay.
1 1/2.
Well, we weren't doing any punching. We were just
Yeah.
so would you use a quarter ounce then?
What's that?
So would you use a quarter ounce weight?
Yeah. Or no, I was using like a eighth to a 3/16.
Wow. You casted that pretty well with that bait caster.
A lot of times I don't even use a weight. It depends on how thick the grass is, how hot the water is, how active the fish are.
I like to do that too, but I use a spinning rod with that. Of course, being from the north, that's what I grew up using was spinning rods, and I just got used to it. And I can cast a spinning rod like nobody's business, but years and years and years on bait cast, I don't seem to be getting any better.
Well, spinning rods are making a big comeback everywhere now, especially since they have forward-facing sonar. A lot of that fishing is done with spinning tackle with lighter line. So
Lighter line, yeah. People
what I can't get over is the price of spinning reels. I mean, it used to be you could buy a nice spinning reel for $50. Now you got to have $200 or $300 to buy a spinning reel.
Exactly. I use the Shimano Stratic, and that's I get to buy like one a year. But it's no secret. I love to fish for specks, and spinning tackle just specs lend themselves very well to spinning tackle with the light swim baits and also, as I love the wacky rig, and that's you pretty much. I've seen guys who can cast wacky rigs with bait casters. I don't know how they do it.
Well, it's a lot easier on a spinning rod, that's for sure.
Oh, it sure is. And then Also, it with the lighter line, spinning tackle just has a better drag. Spinning reels, and
Right.
you
It's
can
so
just sit
smooth.
right
Yeah.
there, and it just
A lot of
if I
people
hear
back
something
reel,
like,
when they hook a fish, they back reel, but I've never
no,
been a back reeler.
I have used spinning reels my whole life, and I have never back reeled. I remember back in the day they said you have to back reel. I'm like, why? You have a drag right there. You don't need a back reel. You start back reeling, next thing you know,
Yeah, if you let
that
go of that
thing's going
handle, you're in trouble.
faster. A bass, as you know, when it gets scared, it can really move fast, and you can't catch up to that by back reeling.
Well, down here you got Mr. Redfish in the same water. So if he grabs
Oh
that
yeah,
thing and you let go, you got a mess.
yes. Oh, there's nothing more fun than playing with a 20-pound red with spinning
Yeah.
tackle. And even when I'm fishing for redfish, I don't use the great big rods. I just 20
Well, it
pound braid.
takes some of the fun out of it.
Yeah, just 20-pound braid can handle them.
Right. I see guys fishing redfish with these big surf rods, boat rods with 80-pound tests. I'm just doing it with bass tackle.
It's like yeah, that's exactly what I use as bass tackle. I don't insult people anymore, but back in the day, I would ask, "What are you fishing for? Sharks?"
Now I realize there's probably a lot of viewers on your podcast, Jay, that are from other states and everything. So if they want
Sure.
to help out with the Responsible Anglers United fundraiser, if they want to donate a couple bucks, they can go to the site and do that. Or if they want to buy a ticket and donate it, just let us know. If they want to donate it back to a kid that's fishing, maybe a single parent, kid that doesn't get an opportunity to much to do, attend something like this or something like that, we can, utilize it for that too. So anybody that wants to contribute to the fundraiser is welcome.
Yeah, please do that, guys. It's right down there, responsibleanglersunited.com. Yeah, just go there. There's a place that you can, and if you do live 600 miles away, go ahead and buy you a ticket to Tyler's raffle. Or do what Steve said. Donate a ticket to a child. Donate a ticket to somebody who just can't
Right.
afford to go. We'll
Let
get
me
in touch
add,
with you.
yeah, let me add also, anybody that comes down to this general area and needs information, wants to know, uh, places to stay, launches, hey, just look up my name and send me a message on Facebook and I'll reply to you.
Yes. Steve would be better than me because I live like 80 miles away from there. So I don't know that kind of stuff. In fact, I might be hitting him up. This year, my wife's going to be away on work. So I might just be getting a hotel room down there
There you go.
and just, not have to leave at 8 o'clock.
I got you. We'll work out something with you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And, guys, last year, even if you don't fish, man, my stepdaughter came and she said she had a great time. There was a band there and the band was playing some swamp pop and she had a fun. Everybody got up, everybody danced.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I was not, I can't say I was surprised, but I was very happy with how all of it came out, in the band, the food, all the different things we had. People just really were excited about it. That was good to see.
It was. And for a first event, the inaugural event, to be that well attended says something.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to make a difference. I mean, people are going to be surprised how these fish take off in there. Because I have followed over the last 50 or 60 years, I have followed every stocking that the wildlife fisheries doesn't really stock a lot of fish in these open estuaries. They more or less used to like to stock only enclosed lakes, like Toledo Bend or Skinny Lake. But the few stockings they did down here, I followed them, and I caught 8, 9, and even 10-pound fish down here within 7, 8, 9 years of the stockings. So that tells you it does work. It does work.
And let's talk a little bit about Bussy Break and compare that to Lake Buff. That
right.
Bussy Break wasn't even around. What, 6, 7 years ago?
Well, I think that lake was impounded in 1950, and it was a emergency water source for International Paper Company paper mill up there. Well, they
Yes.
closed down, I think it did 2010 or something like that. And they always let the Louisiana Wildlife Fisheries manage that lake. But I guess they just figured since they didn't own it, they just, didn't really put a lot of effort into that. Well, when they gave it to the state around that time, the state decided, well, we're going to drain the lake and we're going to refill it and stock it just solely with Florida bass, Florida genetic bass. And so when he drained the lake, I think they left it drained for over 5 years, and all these willows grew up. All these willow stands grew up all over this lake. And when they filled it back up, I mean, it was like fishing in a willow forest. And these Florida bass, it didn't take them long. I mean, I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years, they were catching 8, 9, 10-pound bass. Well, now they've got bass out of there. Just the state record, I think, is 15.98 pounds, over 16 pounds, and they've caught fish within 2 ounces of the state record up there. So
Yes.
they really did that right. And what I'm excited about in Lake Buff is we can start from scratch because it's hard to drain an open estuary that goes all the way, connected all the way to the Gulf. But the fish numbers are so low of the native fish right now that those 32,000 Florida bass are going to be spawning with each other in a lot of these areas. There's going to be some integrating with them, but not like you normally, not like in a normal situation. So that's going to benefit the Florida gene. So
and just so you guys
break, but there's not.
And what I'm very excited about is we're not just going to stock that once. We're going to keep doing it.
Right. What Zay LeBlanc told me, the biologist for the state, I think he wanted to do a shock survey where they just stun them. They bring them in and they measure them, weigh them, and put them right back in the water real quick. And they come back, and it doesn't harm them. And they also survey the available bait fish and stuff. But he's going us to do that, I think, in the fall and also right after the spring. So twice a year, I think, is what he's looking to do.
And just so you guys know, this is one of the natural. It's going to be coming up here. This is a bass that Steve caught when I was fishing with him. And this is a natural Louisiana bass. And when these things start breeding,
native northern largemouth. If they're not Florida's, they call them northern largemouth. Yeah,
northern largemouth. Okay, this is a northern largemouth.
That's a Lake Buff fish right there. Yeah.
Yep, Lake Buff fish. I was with Steve when he caught this, and man, there are going to be a lot more of them in there now. And they're going to be bigger than this. What was that? About 3.5, 4 pounds?
Probably 3.5, 4 pounds.
Man, that's
that lake. Like I've been fishing it since the '60s, and I can remember times when I went out there, and the fishing was so phenomenal. We just took it for granted. I mean, there was times when I was catching 20 fish, and most all of them were that size, every one of them.
Jeez.
So, and Davey Height won the Classic in that area right there in Lake Buff in 1999. And that was a 3-day event, 5 fish a day, 15 bass total, that weighed, I think, 57 pounds. And that stood as a classic record until recent, until KBD broke it again here in Lake Catawatchee in 2011, where they just broke it, I think, last year, the year before, this young guy broke it with the forward-facing sonar. But yeah, the record that he hit in Lake Buff stood from 99 all the way up to 2011. So yeah, Lake Buff used to be something.
So guys, it can be something again. It can be something again. If we put these fish in there, it'll help the whole ecosystem.
Oh yeah. And I mean, another exciting place that it looks like it's going to come back. I took a rod in there a couple of months ago, and the amount of grass coming into Lake Catawatchee from bison that coming out to the middle of the lake is I was surprised how much grass is out there again. So as soon as we get warm weather again, that grass is probably going to start coming all the way to the west side of the lake.
Man, then we're going to have to start punching again in Lake Catawatchie, huh?
Oh yeah,
That's exciting.
it is.
That is exciting. My goodness.
I'm going to be 73 in June, so I don't know how many more seasons I got left in me, because my kids told me, don't worry, Dad, we'll put your wheelchair in the boat, we'll get you out there,
Yeah, we'll get you out there, Steve. We'll get you out there.
But I'm not just involved in the things I'm involved in. I'm also on this, for the last 5 years, the governor appointed me to the Louisiana Finfish Task Force. And so I make meetings up there in Baton Rouge at the Wildlife Fisheries headquarters every 3 months, every quarter. And I'm not just in all these things because, I want to do this for me. I'm doing this for my kids, my grandkids, your grandkids, everybody. And I'd like to see all of these fishing clubs in these junior high and high schools and colleges really get involved with us. Because, if you have any want to do so, contact us and we'll, get you involved in the message, because this is going to improve it for them. And that's what I'm excited about. A lot of these youngsters are going to see some fishing that I saw when I was coming up.
Yes. One thing I would like to talk about before we're done, wasn't it the parish of Lafourche that partnered with us and gave a large donation?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the.
I'd like to thank.
Yeah, the Lafourche Parish government actually donated $50,000 to us last year, and since it was our first year and everything, they graciously. I don't know if it was grant money they had and they couldn't use or something in a timely fashion. It was a time stamp on it or something, but they donated $50,000 to us, so that really helped us to be able to get that many bass in the water.
And one of the things I was very encouraged by is there were a couple of politicians there for the release, and I got to talk to one of them when I was out in the boat.
Right.
And I told the lady, well, she wasn't a politician, she was one of the staffers, which I think that they're just as important. The staffers are just as important as politicians.
Got to have a staff.
Yes. And I told her, fishing is just like, they said on the baseball movie, if you build it, they will come. If people start catching 9-10 pound bass in Lake Buff, hotels will start springing up around it. Just
look at Lake Catawatchie when KVD won the Classic. Even before that, there was people coming down here just for fishing, just like you go to some of these lakes in Texas that have big bass. And then when we had storms and drought and saltwater encroachment, and it killed all the grass in Catawatchie, and that happened again in Lake Hurricane Ida in Lake Buff. All the grass died off. That grass is an important part of having spawns where the fish have a place to hide and reproduce and grow, and that's what made it, And then when we lost the grass, it kind of hurt. So now the grass is coming back. The habitat is there. We're stocking fish. It's all looking good.
I think every element we need is there now. I am very excited about this. I'm very excited. I can't tell you how excited. Well, Tad Mazie from Raceland contacted me last year, and he told me about this effort. And I said, have those. Give me their phone number. Give me a phone number. I'm going to call them right now. And I did. Yeah. I called Steve Dufresne, and he called me back within a couple hours. And me and him talked for 2 hours about this. And I told him how many efforts like this I had been involved in Illinois, because the Illinois Department of Natural Resources does not think that fishing is very important, except on the Chicago front, of course.
Tell you about that.
And so we had to stock our own fish. And we did, and we had great fishing. And now they don't stock our own fish anymore on these lakes. And I hear that the fishing has degraded every year.
Oh, now who told you about RAU? That was Tad.
Tad Mazie, yes.
Okay, yeah, he has the bass crack gel to set the fish up, which is great.
Crusset gel, yeah. I still use
Dr. Jeff, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great people involved in this, and
yes.
that's what's exciting too. Is people from all different walks of life that some involved in fishing industry, some not.
Austin plays on all kinds of people.
And everybody kind of believes in the goal and believes in what we're doing, and so yeah, it's just really special.
Speaking of that, Steve, why don't you take a couple minutes to do shout outs?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to a person that really said, let's do this and made it happen with Steve Dufresne. So he's kind of our guy that runs it all, motivates people, lines it up, plans it, has the meetings, and you can't do anything without a leader. And I'm appreciative of Steve and his thinking and his effort, and also
endless.
Yeah, Tyler Rivette. Tyler has graciously donated these trips, and that's taken several days out of his time of being a pro fisherman and obligations that he has to help the effort to raise money and to take people on this trip, multi-day trip, and auction it. Very appreciative of Tyler that.
Yes, one thing, I'm looking at this picture of you, Steve. That is one healthy bass.
Yeah. When did we go? It was that in.
Well, you're wearing a coat, so it must have been during the cold
April
weather
or something. I don't think it was too early in the year.
Well, it had. I don't know if it was before or after. Before or after the event. I don't remember. Probably after the event.
It was after the event. Yeah.
So it must have been February or March.
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been.
That was an incredible trip. I hope to do that again with you someday.
Yeah, we'll go again this year.
Thank you so much for taking me. And I'd like to do a shout out to Responsible Anglers United. A lot of people that I work with make promises to me. Responsible Anglers United. Steve asked, "What do you want out of this, Jay?" And I said, a couple tickets so I can bring my wife out to a nice dinner. And I want the fish with your guys. And he delivered on his promise, and I've thanked him personally, but I'd like to thank him here too. The man is straight up. He does what he says he's going to do. And I like working with people like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a solid group of guys that have formed this. We used to have these little tournaments out of a little lounge and eatery that is called Beck's in Raceland on Bayou Lafourche.
Sure.
And Bayou Lafourche is a natural bayou that starts at the river and goes all the way to Grand Isle. And we started having these little tournaments, and Steve ran them. And so that's when we just started talking things over. What can we do to make the fishing better? We used to have stringers of fish that weighed 19, 20, 21, 22 pounds brought in. And now we were getting stringers, 10, 11, 12 pounds. So, we started talking amongst us, what can we do to improve everything? And, it's coincided with the state started looking at what they could do for freshwater fisheries, because there's so much saltwater fisheries and other things here that wildlife fisheries is involved in. We have, a shrimping division, a trapping division, an alligator division. There's a lot of things this state has to put on, other states don't have. And so, they only got so much money. Well, Arkansas started a deal to improve their bass fishing and had a black bass coordinator. And I think they did it 2-3 years ago. And I think this state looked at that and said, you know what? Look at the fantastic fishing in California, Florida, Texas. And now Arkansas is doing it. That's their goal. And so that's how they came about. At the same time we formed, they came up with this idea, and then gave us a biologist, Zane LeBlanc, to kind of work with us, So it couldn't have worked out better. So, yeah, it's exciting. And, just from an idea of talking something over after a little fishing tournament, we came up with this. And so I think it's great. And I think a lot of people get a sense of community out of it, and it is good for the community.
That's awesome. Well, Steve, that's about all the time we have for this evening. But I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to come and talk to folks on the Let's Talk Fishing show. And guys, I took a break from the Let's Talk Fishing show to spend some time with my family for the holidays, but now that's over. Time to
Sure.
get back to the serious business of podcasting. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody who watches my show. You know, I couldn't do it without you guys. I can't do it without people like you, Steve, because I'm not that interesting. So
I'll tell you, it's a very nice setup you have in your podcast. I get a lot of good information out of various different angles, even though some of the anglers are smallmouth or fishermen or wildlife fishermen. I do hope to go up there and take advantage of that fishing because it's fun.
I would highly recommend you doing that. And if you like to eat fish, make sure if you're going to be on some place with smallmouth, there's probably walleyes and yellow perch there too. Man, those are the best eating fish there is. Well, freshwater fish. And when you get it out of cold water, their meat is nice and firm. Oh, I love it. I got to get up there this summer. But anyways, guys, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Let's Talk Fishing podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for watching that. And man, just get out there and fish, guys. Just get out there and fish and have fun. Thank you. And Steve, stick around for a couple minutes after the podcast.
Okay, sure.